this is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got tracks and he's going around the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God!
Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
This is very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go.
Oh no.
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
Welcome back, everyone, to SimSpeed TV. It's a Saturday afternoon, and while unfortunately it's been quite a few weeks since the last round of the NTEseries Endurance Series, back on the 26th of November was when we covered round number 2. We're back again for the third and final race of this event, brought to you here by Shannon's. We come to the home of Australian motorsport after racing at Phillip Island and then Sandown. Here we are at the mountain at Bathurst, New South Wales, to bring it all to a conclusion here this evening. My name is Darren Yeaman. Joining me in the commentary box for this one here will be Braden Martin, with Jay Kennedy on production for us this afternoon. Braden, well, not the usual pairing. I've been working with Reese Gardner for the first 2 rounds of this series. Unfortunately, missing Reese in the box, but welcome to have you along here to bring us the coverage of this final race of this NTEseries mini championship. And well, it's been a bit of a one-man show for the most part so far, and was the case up until we are currently under a safety car due to an incident just before we went live, Braden. So cars are bunched back up once again for this final hour of racing coming here on the board. We'll turn our eyes to the championship standings first, and indeed the points confirming the tale that it will be Blake Wallboys there at the top of the charts.
Yeah, I mean, what better way to finish a championship than to come to Bathurst in the V8s? And as you said, it looks like it's been a bit of a Blake Wallboys show over the first couple of rounds here in the NTEseries. And close battle pack just behind, though, so minor placing still very much undecided.
Absolutely, indeed. Justin McLean with a strong race at Sandown promoted himself there into second place on the points standings, ahead of Wallboys teammate Nathan Brown there in third for the number 86 team. Michael Stewart there in P4. And rounding out the top 5 there was Dean Powell in the 999. So we bring you now the live pictures here from the mountain. As you can see here, the Shannon's Porsche 992 Cup safety car currently bringing this field under control. They're just doing a final couple of procedural things. They will be going green at the end of the lap, but before we go green, Braden, we're going to go take a look at a couple of replays from earlier on today, just to sort of paint a picture of what's happened so far. The first one we're going to have a look at, unfortunately, is Peter Biancucci, number 50 machine, as he gets loose, coming up under the producer's sign at Reed Park. Unfortunately, on the racing line there, that was only going to end one way.
Yeah, there's not a lot of room to escape from trouble once you're turned around up there, and you really just got to hope someone's not close behind. But unfortunately for Peter there was another car right on his tail, and not a lot he could do.
Indeed, and then just what brought out this current safety car, the 66 Darren Crosby, grabbed first gear down through the S's there, and you can see, unfortunately, locks the rears and then gets buried in the tyre bundles for good measure, just off the racing line. Well, actually, I'd argue that's on the racing line if you're committed down through the S's and looking to try and maximise the entry into the dipper. So did have to bring out the safety car for that one there, which means that, well, it came just about at the right time, which means we get to go live. The field is bunched back up once again, and it gives us a chance to see how things play out here in the final 57 odd minutes of racing. In case you haven't caught one of our broadcasts for the NTEseries Endurance Series here before, it's been a 2.5 hour time certain race in these supercars here, and well, bringing you the final hour of racing action for these broadcasts so far, and concluding here today for this one as well. So we'll see the safety car there pull away in just a moment's time as they bring their way down the Conroy straight. There is the confirmation of our round format and information. 4 laps of lone qualifying earlier on today to start things off. 2.5 hours race, 1 competition safety car guaranteed. We may see that come in this final hour still, Braden. So yet to be known if Wallboys will get a chance to run away here, or he'll get bunched back up again and fix setups in this series, meaning they started on 60 litres of fuel, but they do have access to 100% of the fuel tank to allow them to run these cars fairly long in their stints once they come down the pit lane.
Yeah, as we see the safety car pull away and leave now Blake Warboys with control of the field. Although the safety car was great timing for us, Dan, probably not so great for Blake Warboys, who had about a 20-second gap when it came out. So that gap that he had is completely erased, and he's going to have to work hard to get that back up.
He sure will, but, well, as you were saying, championship points tell it. The state of the race before we went live said it, and, well, he's got a teammate in behind in the hand, former Josh Drage. You can see the Wodonga carts and parts on the sides of both the Mustang and the Commodore first and second. So, well, I'm sure, Josh, they'll be willing to, trying to give Blake there a good fight. I wouldn't be too surprised to see that 63 machine walk away. He's got control of the field here, Braden, as he brings it down to Murray's corner all the way. We'll wait on the apex, and in fact, past the apex, he'll wait some more. We go back green here in the Shannon's NTEseries Endurance Series, and we'll see here as they make their way into turn one who's going to make a move here, because you've got Justin McLean there in third, the championship, or the man who's fighting for second in the championship with one of those Wodonga carts and parts cars. But Nathan Brown there, the 86 wobbling in the background there through Hell Corner, is his championship rival for second. And that means that, well, McLean's got a bit of a buffer, and he's looking to put pressure on Drage here as they head up Mountain Straight for the first time on this restart.
Yeah, you can see he's showing the nose up the inside, a tricky spot to stay on the outside around the second corner. Lots of camber dragging you out towards that pedigree wall, but they managed to get through too wide safely, and everyone has managed to do a good job so far. A few locked up at the first turn, as we're just getting some information come through. There's been a black flag issued to Peter Biancucci as well, so not a good afternoon for him.
I believe I heard that right. That might have been for serving a black flag, which he had picked up, unfortunately, while we were just before we came live, for actually speeding in the pit lane. Actually, pardon me, it'll be actually towing without permission from that wreck that we actually saw the replay of just as we got this broadcast underway, as there is a no escape rule in effect for this series to enable a better use of manual safety cars and the like. So he will have been picked up for that there. This was obviously final race of the season. Beyond the black flag, there's nothing more to it at this point, but unfortunately for Peter there, that will mean he has to trundle back down the lane. He is also, unfortunately, 2 laps down off the lead, but is in a race with Darren Crosby for 16th place, but alas, that will have to end for now. As well, I've been blubbering away here, been on board with one of our drivers on the Zoom call for this series and done a great job being consistent with us here, Dean Powell, the man behind the wheel of the 999 Mustang here, currently running in 6th place, and currently well adorning the Shannon's NTEseries branding on the back of the steering wheel there. Braden has been a solid bit of rep there for the series. You can see, brings it down into Murray's, looking to pressure Michael Stewart there for a place in the top 5 here.
Yeah, I was going to say, doing a great job of driving and doing a great job of promoting at the same time. Very impressive stuff on the Zoom call there. And it's been a pretty tame restart, which has been good, but it has seen Warboys scoot away, and like you said, you were pretty convinced he was going to be able to get away, and he's done just that, out to already almost 1.5 seconds, looking very calm and relaxed as he dons the McLaren shirt, I reckon that might be, in his super cheap auto V8 supercar, but he's making light work of this grid, and he's starting to skip away.
Yeah, he sure is. He's been pretty hard to catch in the first 2 races, and well, yeah, as I said, the numbers seem to paint a similar picture here in race number 3 up until we went live, and well, it's certainly helped by the fact that teammate Josh Drage has got Justin McLean scrapping all over the rear bumper of the 888 Wodonga Carts and Parts Super Cheap Auto Commodore there as they work their way over the top of the mountain here. This is the 41st lap in this race this afternoon. You can see here, wide entry to McPhillamy there for Drage, which is a narrow run in for McLean. It results in a bit of a compromise run across the top as they then dip down through Skyline and the S's one more time. Get up against the right side wall, open the entry to the dipper a bit, but again, see McLean opting to go for a bit more of a narrow entry here versus Drage, and it seems to not really pay off on the corner exits. You see even here at the elbow too, Braden, going for that narrow entry to try and maybe pressure the nose on the way in, but it's not helping on the way out of the corners. Drage there able to get a bit of a more square exit and power down. The third of the WKMP cars. Here is Nathan Brown. And you can see, unfortunately for Nathan here, Braden, he's stuck back in 8th place and 1.1 seconds behind the man in 7th at the moment. And he's got only 4/10, if that, to the car on his rear bumper, which is Stephen Kennedy there in the M1 Racing 55. So for the man who's fighting for second in the championship, I should say, got a lot of work to do, given McLean's position in 3rd on the road at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're sort of starting to see a couple of little... Ooh, we've had someone go a little bit wide there. And looks like we're going to have that Shannon's car possibly make a move on Michael Stewart into turn 1, and he gets the job done. We're starting to see the battle pack sort of start to form in little pockets of 2 and 3 now, apart from Warboys, obviously, who's starting to bolt. But I think we could be in for a good tight finish here with lots of battles up and down the field.
Yeah, that certainly is going to be the case. You can see the car that is somewhat on its own here up towards the front of the field is number 23 of Tim Nicol here, riding in 4th, but not too far behind 2nd and 3rd of Drage and McLean as they work their way up through Griffins and into the cutting here. And Dean Powell, Michael Stewart not too far behind Nicol, but it's a sort of a micro pocket of air here for the Pecky's Performance Racing machine there as he works his way up and over the hill for the 42nd time here today. And, well, certainly be hoping to try and get on the back bumper of McLean and add some pressure to this fight, and was almost a 10th faster than the 2 cars ahead. So he's got that going for him, as well as we jump on board one of our other drivers here today on the Zoom call, also running virtual reality here. It's yes, Michael. Cool. Yes, it is. I sort of thought I was going to have an absolute fritz there as to exactly who that was. The man is driving number 39 Commodore here. Unfortunately for him, back in 15th place, but still on the lead lap. Just a fair ways behind, unfortunately, everyone else at this point. In fact, something has some kind of trouble just off the restart, actually, it seems, Braden. I'm going to go back and look at that personally and see if what happens is we'll stay live and have a look here. The 5 seconds still on.
Yeah, it's very, very close between Drage and McLean, as McLean's going to have a look down into the chase. Got a good run. Has he pulled it up? He has, although got a little bit of wheel spin on the exit there, and it's allowed Drage to get back in front. So he's had a look, he's had a go, but he couldn't get the job done, and those tyres might just be a little bit warm now. So Tim Nicol will be looking to see if he can pounce on any mistake from these two and get himself up to one of those podium positions.
Yeah, it's a case of Drage at this stage looking like the cork in the bottle as the rest of the drivers in and around the top 10 here, ranging up on the rear of his car. There still is that needs to be sorted. Quite literally seemed to have just backed off out of the dipper on that 40, which was the first lap of the restart. And a whole host of cars through who were various positions down and such, and really opted to take it careful, it seems. Currently lapping a fair way off the pace, 2 and 13. The exception of Blake Woodward, who decided 2 minutes 6.3 is the name of the game. Oh, sideways angle there up over the under the side into the re-park there, Braden. These guys certainly not hanging around, even though Warboys is in a class of his own at this point. They're going to put everything on the line here, still with 48 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, like we said at the start of the podcast, it's very, very tight between sort of second through to 5th or 6th in the championship. So all of these positions make a big difference, and they're not going to have a look. Ooh, another little lock up there. So easy to do with the camber of that corner and the downhill braking and these big, heavy V8 supercars with, let's be honest, not great brakes on them. It's not too difficult to pinch a tyre here or there. Is he going to have another look down into the chase? He's pretty close again. As we see McLean, they come through the kink. He does, sends it down the inside. Can he get the job done? Second time lucky. Oh, he's overcooked it.
Oh, only just, you'd have to say. Actually keeps it on the black stuff there, but once again, Josh Drage able to pull it up on the racing line, open the corner entry up, and as a result, get right underneath the 662. Turn in race apparel, Commodore there. We'll have a quick look at that there from the chopper cam. So work their way down. You can see just a little later on the brakes, but such a narrow entry. McLean committing to pulling that thing up in a straight line, Braden. There just absolutely obliterates any ability to turn the car in from a somewhat normal spot on the racing line. And as a result, just can't get that car slowed down in time, as you pointed out. And, well, easy done there for Josh Drage to go over under there and get his spot back.
Yeah, it was perfect timing for Drage as well, because it can be very easy if you mistime the over-under that you get held up on the apex of the corner, but timed it to perfection and managed to get out the other side pretty easily. But it does seem like maybe McLean is a bit quicker over the top of the mountain, and that's where he's getting the time back. But unfortunately, if you can't get the job done at the chase, there's not too many other spots to get it done around this half street circuit. Ooh, that was very loose.
Tell me that again. That was getting some serious sideways on there as they came over the top once again. Both drivers really not afraid to let the sideways action tell the tale. And how about that there from McLean, using all of the curb over the top of McPhillamy Park is, and really throwing it in deep here, compromising corner entries in a couple of spots, it seems, as he tries to keep things up. I'd have to say, this particular lap, not looking quite as composed over the top, as that's loose on the way in to the elbow. And in fact, he might just grab the fence there on the way out of the corner as well. Looks like he might have got away with a glancing blow at most there, Braden, but my word, he's certainly committed into trying to get back on the bumper. I have to say, the opening half of the lap, he looked a lot stronger and a lot more calm and composed. Now, all of a sudden, over the top from McPhillamy, all the way down to the elbow there, that was ragged and on the edge.
Yeah, that was very close. You can have a look at the replay here, just how loose that rear was. And the problem with these V8 supercars is as soon as you heat up those tires, it just compounds and gets worse and worse. And I think that's a little bit of what we saw across the top of the mountain there. He got a little bit loose heading up, and then across the top started to have a few lockups, and then sent it really deep into Forest Elbow. And if he does that too much, he's not going to have a lot of tire left.
Yeah, odds on they might need to make one more stop for fuel and tires. So, well, they'll take tires at the fuel stops. Now we'll look at another replay here. Number 7 of Jack Gray, 73 of Shane Newlands, as they worked their way down on the straight. I can see that Gray on my timing screen has gotten ahead here, and a fairly straightforward maneuver there through the king into the chase. Gray on the racing line. Newlands not looking to contest at this point. So a fairly easy exchange there, Braden, I'd have to suggest. And yeah, look at this once again, coming back to live pictures. Gap comes down from about 8-9 tenths to about 6, at most 7, there in the opening sector of the lap. But once again, we get to Reed Park, and we'll watch these cars over the top again. Drage fairly straight, this time McLean a little bit straighter there, looking after his car just a tiny bit more as they dip down through Sulman at the grate here before we make our way to McPhillamy Park.
And McLean will be hoping he can get a run just like, was it Newlands did into the chase, and maybe he can get the job done before they get to the end of the chase, and that way he doesn't have to try and pull the car up as hard and as fast, and hopefully doesn't have to take that really shallow inside line. But I think he's going to be too far back for this lap, so he's going to have to keep chipping away, although there looks like there was a little lock up there from Drage, and that could open up the door. He still looks a little bit too far back. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, what I was actually a little worried about, he was again shallow on the way into the corner. I think very close to getting the wall on the apex of the elbow as well, because don't forget, the apex wall juts out pretty sharply right at about the center point of the turn. So if you go for that narrow, aggressive entry, but how's that there for braking performance? It's a little too deep though from McLean, trying to gain back whatever time he can, and maybe he picks up a 10th or 2 there in the process, but compromises any chance of keeping the pressure up down here into Murray's corner. So once again, McLean really opting to maximize gains under brakes, but as a result, there's a trade-off in the acceleration zone out of these turns.
Well, we definitely can't accuse McLean of not having a crack. He is firing that V8 supercar, that Holden, as deep into just about every corner as possible. He's loose across the top. He's certainly pushing hard to try and make up this gap and try and get back on the back of Josh Drage. As we continue to see this fight, it's still not quite close enough though. And Tim Nichols sort of dropped off the back of this pack now, and he's slowly starting to find his way back towards Powell as well. So we might have another 2-car battle on our hands very soon.
It could easily be 3 cars really, because don't forget Michael Stewart's hanging on there in 6th place as well. As we continue to watch Drage and McLean work their cars up through Reed Park, looking fairly straight once again from both of them, down through the grate to Sulman Park. See here how they work it up to the wall and using most of the track, but nothing too extreme or risky. Fair bit of curb there on the entry to McPhillamy, though, for Drage. Looks to be playing out fairly nicely as they then work their way down over Skyline and the S's. See here on this particular lap, it looks like McLean is looking very racy indeed. Drage has backed off quite a lot, I would suggest, because he didn't look out of control at any point on this one here. So McLean, prime opportunity, shows the nose into the elbow. Can he get the run off the turn here to pressure? And I don't think he has. Again, that gap opens up by about a car length or two. And as a result, Drage is going to be comfortably clear down into the chase here once again. He'd have to miss-shift or roll out of the throttle here to come under pressure on this time by. As just looking at the timing back behind them between Nickel, Pow and Stewart. That group is still spaced out a little bit more. This group here, these two here, sorry, for second. Barely 3/10 into McLean. Deep under brakes once again. But Drage making sure to maximise every corner exit, but a little closer this time for McLean. But we'll check back in with them later because Nathan Brown looking to try and make some moves here. He's still back in 8th place though, Braden. Ryan Robson, his first car that he needs to get by here to get a place on the board.
Yeah, and just in the background as well is the 55 of Kennedy, who's looking to pounce on anything that these two give him if there's any kind of mistakes. So he's just sitting there as we have a look at the webcam of Brown, who's gonna try and have to get a run. There's two really big long straights on this track. Obviously the exit of turn 1, super important, and then as we've seen with the Drage McLean battle, the exit of Forest Elbow. And if you don't get them right, it makes it really hard to get any passing done, because basically from this point onwards it's single file unless someone makes a really big mistake.
Yeah, that is true. As we stay on board here with the 86 as he works his way up into the cutting one more time here. You can see they're looking for a narrow entry and a little braver up against the wall there compared to what Robson does, but all in all, looks to be about the same as they work their way up and over through Reed Park, as that's a little wiggly from Robson, but very close to the wall there on the left side for Nathan Brown. So definitely working, but a little slide from Robson through the grate. The 16 machine here, that blue and yellow Commodore, is looking a little loose at this point in the race. They've been green now for 20, or about 15, nearly 20 minutes. As they work their way down to the S's. A little wobble though from Brown. Sort of backs up the run, but there we go. How about that? It's on between Drage and McLean for second. This time though, it happens at the apex of Forest Elbow. Turns it into a drag race all the way down Conrod Straight.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because again, we see McLean pitched on the outside, so he's going to have to get it done under braking as Drage is going to hold that inside line for the kink. Has he cleared him? I think he has. Looks like he's got the job done. Just needs to pull it up. There you go. Job done. Now it'll be up to Drage to see if he can tag onto the back of McLean and not let him get away. But you have to say it's looked like McLean has had the pace.
See here if the pace can translate in clean air as we then check back in with Robson and Brown. And late looks Brown to the outside. It actually pinches the rears there, trying to get back in line at Murray's corner. Thankfully keeps that one under control. Nice and easy there, as we've got a replay about to come in here from producer Jay Kennedy. So something has happened now. I've been told Mark Peck in the number 79 machine, currently running 11th place there. The other Pecky's Performance Racing machines, a Mustang, this time gets passed by the 51 of Andrew Dutch there in that next gen Physio Commodore, and that is the extent of the replays. How about that around the outside into Griffin's Bend for Nathan Brown? He's going to try and make it stick, Braden, but no, out in the weeds. And Ryan Robson says, I'll have 7th place back, thank you very much. Stephen Kennedy close, but not quite close enough there to pressure in the M1 Racing Mustang there. We'll have to settle now to putting the pressure on. There's, oh, Drage in the fence at the top. Momentarily, but he hangs on to it. What that does is absolutely balk Tim Nickel, but now McLean is through, and oh, that could have been so much worse with the 888 WKMP Commodore. He hangs on by the barest of margins, and looks like maybe only some panel work damage on the right side to tell the tale of that one there, Braden.
Yeah, now we definitely have a 4-car battle on for this final spot on the podium, as Michael Stewart and Dean Powell both close up in the back of Tim Nickel as well. As we're going to have a look at a replay. Very loose and into the wall. That could have been a lot worse. And he's probably pretty lucky he didn't lose a position to Tim Nickel there, who very easily could have made a very awkward run through McPhillamy and over Skyline, but did back out of it. As we go back live, looks like we're going to have
Powell and Stewart.
Yep. down into the chase. Ooh, they're both going to go deep. And the 999's going to hold the inside. They're too wide. Oh, no.
Oh, we've got 3 cars in the grass, Braden. My word. Drage, Nickel, and Stewart all in the weeds through the chase there. Dean Powell runs it deep and locks up the inside front, but in the process, he'll stay on the road and he'll take 4th place away from Tim Nickel. My word, we're watching the side-by-side scrap it. My camera's switched around to show forward vision. So what's happened here between these guys on the VRS replay? So you got Josh Drage minding his business here in now 3rd place, just in deep, locks the inside front. Tim Nickel loses the rear, and then Michael Stewart kind of escorted off the road of sorts, with Powell going in deep to defend the spot there. In the end, Powell stays on the road, takes a place, and well, we shuffle the order around a little bit here for 3rd on back, but now McLean is well and truly released in 2nd place. And Stewart's got a bit of work to do there to catch back up to the group of cars that were able to, were ahead, and in Powell's case, stayed on the road here. So, well, a little bit of fireworks there with 36 minutes passing us by there. As they then work their way up and over Reed Park once again, approaching, well, this is lap 49, so lap 50 coming up here in pretty rapid succession, Brad.
That was incredible. All 3 cars almost doing the exact same thing. Thankfully, they all rejoined a lot better than we saw at Bathurst last year in that very same spot. The iRacing grass can be pretty slippery, but they managed to all pull it up and rejoin safely, and for the most part, rejoin battle altogether.
Sure did indeed. And well, while that scrap for what is 3rd continues, I should say. It says 2nd, but I'd argue McLean has checked up the road enough that won't be too much of a concern. The fight still on for 7th. Nathan Brown trying to range back up onto Ryan Robson there, and Stephen Kennedy following along in tow as they're really locked up there on the top one, because I'd say it's definitely the 3rd, 4th, 5th battle of note there up top. You can see that the guys 7th, 8th, and 9th, all more spaced out at the moment. Nathan Brown, unfortunately, not making headway here, and well, going to need to if he wants to turn things around at this point in the race, because he came into this one 2 points behind Justin McLean, and also quickly only 1 point ahead of Michael Stewart, and with Stewart 2 places up the road, odds are we'll see the 919 climb into 3rd place in the championship standings. As the 55 of Stephen Kennedy is going to come down the pit lane and come for service here to make an early but final pit stop in this race here, Braden, and get the job done before anyone else, it would seem, as we'll wiggle there from the 999 of Powell out of Griffin's Bend. See there if that gives Tim Nickel a sniff over the top.
Yeah, Kennedy just popping down, getting that last bit of fuel that he would need. I'm assuming and hoping he's putting on some new boots and gives himself a good chance for a sprint to the end, the last 33.5 minutes. Starting to tick down. These front 3 have just started to spread apart. Well, when I say front 3, 3, 4, and 5 started to spread apart a little bit more, as they were. We said they're going to come together as 4, and then once that incident at the chase happened, they've sort of started to spread back apart. We're having a look at another replay here of Michael Stewart. Looks like in the 919. Going a little bit deep into turn 2 and just getting acquainted with the tyres just before the concrete. That's so easy to do. Camber of that corner just drags you out if you don't get the turn in right and you go too deep.
Yeah, I think he's gotten away with that one there in the 919 Hypersonic Racing Mustang, but now well and truly out of the fight here that was going for 3rd. And in saying that, Josh Drage has checked out, but it's Tim Nickel, Dean Powell here down into the chase. Nickel looking to get up the inside through the kink, but wasn't able to get there. Backed out beforehand. Dean Powell hangs it round the outside, but on board here with Nickel. Look at the wobble there from Powers. That is an incredibly composed face in the heat of battle here as we stay on board with Nickel in the 23 Pecky's Performance Racing Commodore there. And my word, Dean Powell's Mustang there was all kinds of out of shape. And well, you can see now, I think he's really overworking the car, it would seem, because locking a bit of brakes, it seems, on the way into a couple of these corners. Definitely loose on the way out of a few here, Braden. And Nickel, on the other hand, looks to be perfectly happy to stay calm and composed. We'll switch to the view back from the Black Hawk Motorsport Mustang of Power, and that looks a little wide of the apex through Griffins. Nickel's not close enough to get a move here at the cutting, Braden, but it'll certainly get him close and keep him thinking about the rearview mirror as they make their way over the top once again.
Yeah, you can see just how hard Dean Powell's working to keep Tim Nickel behind. I don't think I've ever seen someone as calm with someone almost losing the rear in front of them. Tim Nichols didn't even move. I don't even think a muscle in his face moved. You could barely see his arms moving. It was like some kind of Zen state.
It's certainly a well-established, well achieved practice, I guess you could say, because yeah, not a reaction that I could tell there from anything in shot from Tim Nickel, but well, yes, you said to be that composed and calm as hello. Little wobble there from Nickel, and just having looked at the zoom feed, oh my word, he's going to actually show the nose into the elbow as well. Really trying to spook Dean Powell here, it would seem, but that might not be the worst idea that Tim Nichol's had. He's still got a face of absolute zen. He blinks for us, so we know that the feed hasn't frozen on us, at least, but yeah, I can't believe this. I can't believe him in terms of just, yeah, how calm and composed he is, despite the fact that we had the moment for Dean Powell last up and just there over the top, even through a couple of moments of his own, still looked in complete and perfect composure while that was all happening there, Braden.
Yeah, I can safely say that wouldn't be the face that I'd be making in this situation. That's for sure. I would definitely be a little bit more animated. There's probably some sweat dripping from my brow. It wouldn't be a good look, but credit to Tim Nickel. He's managed to stay on the back of Powell here, and he's still a chance to make up that 4th position. But it does look like a little bit of a checkout for the 3 podium sitters now. Warboy's 11, almost 12 seconds clear, and then another further 3 seconds back from McLean is Drage. So the three at the front are starting to check out, but we've still got some battles up and down the field.
Sure do, and this is one of them here. Nathan Brown still trying to get past Ryan Robson for 7th place in this race. The 16 machine there, Robson, though, seems to have just enough underneath him at this point to keep ahead. Despite a little wobble there out of Griffin's Bend, we see here on board with Brown that Brown going narrow and a little wobble again on the way out of the cutting. So Robson's starting to struggle with traction, it would suggest, and a little wide of the apex and then a little wide as they come over Reed Park. That is getting all kinds of loose, and they've got traffic in the form of Michael Gore as well on the 39 machine. Going to check both of them up over the top here. Thankfully, both drivers well aware of what was happening there and able to get through without any kind of calamity. But, well, that backed up the both of them there just when Brown was starting to look a little bit more on top of it. We'll see what he can do as they come down the mountain once again. Let's see if he can pick up a run off of the elbow, but looks to have dropped back a couple of car lengths, which will hurt any chance of closing down the gap. See there, even with a good run off the elbow, still 3 car. Oh, Darren Crosby, the 66, calling for a tow. He's parked at the top of the mountain. The engine is blown. Will we see the safety car back out once again? Well, we're just waiting to find out if that's going to be the case here, Braden, but being told he will be allowed to tow, but only once the leader puts him another lap down here. So unfortunately, going to go to the virtual race replay. Will stay green in the meantime. Oh dear, out of Reed Park there, Braden. The engine does not survive very long with a trip to the concrete like that.
No, and that's an example of how very easily it can go wrong. We saw Drage make a similar error earlier and managed to get away with it. Unfortunately, not so lucky. Not so lucky for him today. One thing I just was going to mention was how good of a job Michael Gore did as well just before with that battle up the top of the mountain. It's such a hard place to catch traffic, and although he did check them up a little bit, I think he did the best job he could.
Oh, absolutely indeed. Timing was a little bit dangerous, and we're being told Dean Powell, potentially a question mark there with his pit entry here as we go to another of the virtual racing school replays here. Braden brings it on in down. That looks all controlled, but that looks maybe a little too hot, and hot indeed. Oh, through the grass and then looped it there in the terrain. He's found the fence as well. So that explains how he dropped off the back. And oh, he clipped Tim Nicol as well on pit entry. So that's, I heard Tim Nicol jump on the radio, but wasn't quite sure what it was for, and that explains it all there. And as a result, it'll be Drage, followed by Tim Nicol on the 23 Pecky's Performance Racing Commodore, then Dean Powell on the 999 Blackhawk Motorsport Mustang. Stephen Kenley's actually gotten out ahead by pitting a lap early, actually. He's undercut, pardon me, not one lap. We're talking 2 or 3 laps early at this point. As we have a look again at Darren Crosby's replay, slow motion, 45 degrees into the wall. There is no surviving that, unfortunately, for the M1 racing machine. But his teammate Stephen Kennedy races on here and he's put himself in 10th place ahead of the freshly pitted Nathan Brown there. So the undercut seems to work for now for the 55, Braden.
Yeah, that's it. And we're just going to have a look at Nathan Brown now over the top of the mountain on the outlap. Oh, and he's equated himself with the wall as well. So maybe those cold, fresh, new Dunlop tyres haven't treated him too well.
And onto the pit lane comes Justin McLean for his final stop of the race. Didn't respond like the others out there who came in response, so he'll drop down a couple of spots. War Boys, Michael Stewart, Ryan Robson, Andrew Dutch, and Neil Woodburn. Your 5 cars yet to make one final expected pit stop to fill back up, get a fresh set of tyres back on the car. As a result, makes War Boys lead look pretty healthy here at 23, if not 24 seconds. I'm seeing back to Stewart there in second place. As you can see here, War Boys in complete calm and control here over the top as we check out the zoom feed with him there in the bottom right of the screen. You can see working the curbs on the way in and the way out of McPhillamy, over the curb down the S's, and not afraid to get up near the walls, but not looking any margin out of control here at this stage. So very much composed and calm drive here from the 63 machine.
Absolutely, he's just doing a great job. Looks like you said, completely under control, and with a gap like that, back to Stewart. And really, of the first people who have pitted, was it Drage, did we say? 50 seconds. He's got a wonderful margin to execute that last pit stop as well. It's interesting how things play out in a race, with Nicol fighting so hard to try and get past Powell, and then the time you get it done is going through the pit lane. Ooh, that was close.
Yeah, it was indeed. Justin McLean, net second on the road, and nearly clips the Neil Woodburn, who's still out there circulating, yet to take his second stop since we came back from a safety car here. Works his way down the hill into Forest Elbow, and we go on board with Woodburn. He can see McLean, fresh tyres, just tags the rear at McPhillamy Park there, and well, Woodburn not ready to put up, well, not looking to put up a fight anytime soon, it would seem. But just caught out a little bit, perhaps, by the pace on that car. Michael Stewart there, second place. Ryan Robson in third, along with Blake Warboys out in front. They're not going to pit neither will Andrew Dutch. So your top 4 carry on for at least one more lap into this race. The question is for some of those guys there who have been fighting in packs, how much are they going to be sacrificing here in terms of lap time? We'll see what things look like for a few of these drivers once they've come across the line here. We're seeing 2:07 for the race leader and War Boys, 2:08 for Stewart in second, 2:09s for Robson and Dutch. And for Justin McLean, that was an out lap, so 2:40. Josh Drage at 2:07.2 though, puts him on pace with your race leader plus a 10th only there for him. So that tells you a lot about the fresh tyre advantage. But at this point in the stint, still sitting net third there for the Triple A WKMP Super Cheap Auto Commodore.
Yeah, it is a big delta advantage when you go out and come out on fresh tyres, and that's why the undercut can be so powerful in these cars. If you're stuck in a battle pack and you're really having trouble getting past, pitting just a lap or two before the other people in that pack can make you jump them really easily. And tricky cars to pass in, so track position is always welcome.
Yeah, let's see here. As we watch these guys work their way over the top, so we are still waiting on the top 4, plus Neil Woodburn, who's now in 7th, and also Shane Newlan's back in 14th, yet owe us all one final stop to make it home on fuel. Switching to short straight, work his way down through the S's and into the dipper here. As he's looking to try and put some pressure back on the 662 of Justin McLean, but 3 seconds the margin between these two drivers here. It's going to be quite the ask, I would suggest, as this is a fight that, well, has come to us thanks to the pit cycle here today. Braden Stephen Kennedy was a couple of spots back from Nathan Brown, who actually at one point was behind, and these two doing a nice little swap thanks to an earlier stop from Kennedy, getting him the undercut on fresher tyres, and also that slight bit of drama on pit entry ahead of Brown. But the slipstream down Conrod Straight is going to be very useful indeed. Up the inside through the kink, but he has to get on the brakes through the kink because Kennedy wasn't going to yield that one too early, but on the brakes, Kennedy isn't looking to fight that one too hard at the chase proper. So place made for the 86, but now 3 seconds up the road to Dean Powell as Ryan Robson has come to the pit lane in the number 16 machine. We'll see him slot or fall back down the order. We'll see here because he was in and around these two here of Brown and Kennedy. Robson still up on the jacks, and unfortunately going long has not paid off. He will be well and truly cleared by the undercut from these two guys here out in track.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a significant jump for these two. So hitting early definitely seems like it is the correct strategy. Unless you're Blake Warboys, when you're so far ahead, it doesn't really matter when you pit. He's going to be okay, but it'd be interesting to see how much longer Stewart and Dutch stay out, because I feel like they're just losing time the longer and longer they stay out.
Yeah, that will be the play. At least that's what you expect to be the play, because yeah, lapping in the 208s now for both Stewart and Dutch there, second and third on the road. Justin McLean behind doing a 206, but Stewart's race was with drivers such as Tim Nicol and Dean Powell. Both of them at the moment lapping in the 207, 208 bracket, but I believe I saw Dean Powell actually taken to the lane on that one, potentially there. No apologies, did 3 laps ago, I just want to saw his car come out of the pit lane. Yeah, so I thought I saw some other car come out of pit lane, but just had a bit of a wobble out of turn 1, it seems. Did the 999 Black Hawk Motorsport Mustang, because he looks like it's just a little bit of a snap, putting the power down, and yeah, got himself over near the pit exit. That's actually why I thought I saw him perhaps coming out of the pits, but alas no. He's still circulating around in 8th where he was. And, well, still a good 2.5 seconds up the road from Nathan Brown here. So Brown making inroads, Braden, but it's very much slow and steady progress at this point.
Yeah, we're just going to have a look at that replay of what you were talking about for the 999. Getting a little bit loose in the rear, and he does certainly make his way over towards the pit exit, so I can easily see how you thought he may have made an inadvertent pit stop, but nonetheless, he is still going, but he does have a closing Brown WKMP car to try and take away that 8th spot from him. It's down to 2.7 seconds, and closing not quickly, but certainly is making up some time.
Sure is, and you can see there, cars up ahead on Mountain Straight, including Tim Nicol and Neil Woodburn there. So 6th through 10th can be all seen, 6th through 11th there, if you give it a wide enough, long enough shot down Mountain Straight, can just grab most of them in a single frame, as there is the freshly tired Ryan Robson, who can try and make an advantage now on his 6-lap newer tyres, or in the case of Stephen Kennedy's car, it's 6 laps, but compared to Nathan Brown, it's only 3 laps tyre life difference between the number 86 and the number 16. So they all work their way up under repark once again on our way towards 60 laps complete. And pardon me, it's Sullivan Park. I actually need to remember my order of these parks here across the top. So a solid slap on the head there for that one there. There's your first 2 on the road. Blake Woolboy's already around Murray's Bend, starting lap 58. Michael Stewart in 2nd place. Still circulating the 919 around here on old fuel and low tyres at this point, Braden, but surely it's going to be hurting, as similarly Neil Woodburn on old tyres here is falling back through the field. Tim Nicol will be the next to surely pick him up here in a couple of corners' time.
Yeah, I was just watching them have their run over the top of the mountain, and Nickel was just gaining with every little braking zone and every little bend. It was a tenth, 2/10 as you see him show the nose up the inside at the kink of the chase, and Woodburn doesn't fight that one too hard and lifts out and lets him have it. So Tim Nickel will continue on his way. A bit of time to make up if he wants to get up to the back of Drage. 10 plus seconds now, but he'll be happy to get that move done.
He will. Andrew Dutch will fly the flag, as will Neil Woodburn. Both of them coming down into the pit lane here. The end of lap number 57 to finally switch out their tyres and top up their tanks to bring it on home. So, like, well, boys, when will you finally concede and fit yourself out with some fresh rubber here? Try and lay down some fast final laps because, well, 48 seconds back to the first car to have stopped and be safe home on fuel in the form of Justin McLean. Well, that is certainly more than enough time here. So we're seeing pit times in and around the 12 to 16 second marker, plus a transit time. That should see War Boys out in front still by a pretty comfortable 20-ish seconds, I would suspect, as he makes his way down to the chase here to end lap number 58.
Yeah, and Robson is starting to make a little bit of a dent into that time that he lost through the pit cycle and is back up on the back of Kennedy as well, and he's pushing really hard as War Boys stays out again. So another lap. It's going to be less than 15 minutes. It's going to be a little splash for him when he does eventually come in and fit those new tires, and it'll be a nice little short sprint to the end for him.
Yep, so I expect we'll see the 63 as Robson loose over the top of McPhillamy Park. Just hangs onto it though in the 16 machine. Doesn't lose too much time in the process, but my word, that could easily have gone a different way there for the driver of that Commodore there, and Andrew Dutch just in behind him. Well, that would have been an interesting view from his perspective. Another one of our virtual racing school replays here. Braden looks all calm and normal on the way into McPhillamy, but then just understeers up and over the curb and goes for a bit of a four-wheel drift for good measure as a result, but keeps it somewhat under control and then gathers back up for Skyline to make his way down the S's there without too much drama, and still closing in on Stephen Kennedy in the process.
Yeah, he's done very, very well to hold on to that across the top there. It is almost guaranteed that once you end up on that grass that the car can snap back and you end up in that left-hand side wall, but managed to keep it together, and again, like you said, closing up on the back of Stephen Kennedy, but a little lock-up from there from Kennedy as well, and there might be a chance for a move on into turn one. Shows the nose, has a look, doesn't quite go for it though, and that's going to compromise his run up the mountain straight as well. All the while, Andrew Dutch is sitting in behind with his fresh new tyres as well, looking to get himself involved in this battle.
Yeah, I think Robson, the intent was good, but the execution maybe a little bit lacking. Because look at the slipstream he gets coming up behind Kennedy's car. We'll show the nose again here in the Griffin's Bend, but same thing, narrow entry. He's helped a bit by the camber here, but just runs a tiny bit wide. As a result, stalls out the momentum, which means he can't continue to pressure here with the short run up into the cutting, where if he had been on the bumper properly, could have been an opportunity perhaps there. So maybe just a little bit lacking there in terms of finesse on the execution, perhaps you'd say there, Braden, in terms of if you're going to show the nose at turn one, get back into the racing line, get that line right to maximize your exit, because he's going to run wide. Kennedy in the fence there through Silk Reed Park there. That was a hefty hit to the right rear corner. See here if this hurts the car down through the SS. He's carried on at speed. So that was a nasty looking blow there onto the concrete, but he might just have gotten away with that if the way he's carrying on down through the S's and the Dipper is anything to go by, despite that little slide.
Again, Robson shows the nose, but again, he's going to have a really tight entry to the corner, but I think this time he will be close enough, but he does have to have one eye forward and one eye back, because Andrew Dutch is right on his tail as well, and he's going to get the double slipstream.
There we go indeed. The toe, he looks to be strong in these cars with the setup, and look at the speed difference. Robson blows past the 55 M1 Racing Mustang of Stephen Kennedy, who commits under brakes to threatening to get back alongside, but not going to be able to make it work. And as a result, Andrew Dutch with the wider entry to the chase threatens potentially on the exit there, but will settle back in line. So only the one place exchange there between the 16 and the 55. See here, what can Dutch do? He's still sporting some war wounds from earlier scrapes and bangs along the way there in his Commodore, but going to see what he can do. We'll check back in with him later because Gap's closing up for the final spot in the top 5 here on the road whilst we've been looking at that group behind. Dean Powell finding a nice turn of pace here on this freshest set of tyres. Gets the gap inside half a second here on Tim Nicol. Pardon me, 7/10.
Yeah, and Tim Nichols seemed to be in
Kennedy. Not actually, pardon me, not that as much short as I thought, just missed. Yeah, pinched the inside front, lost the racing line out of the camber at Griffin's Bend. Andrew Dutch says that's the easiest place I've had in a while. I'll take that, thank you very much.
Yeah, we're just going to get a replay, I think, of that, because he was already,
just pinched the right front there and lost the inside tyre. That's simply what it was. Thankfully, stays well away from the walls. And pretty easy switch around. And, well, while we're looking at the replay, that was a bit loose there from Tim Nicol, Braden. And I was just saying that Dean Powell was inside 7/10. He's inside 4/10, if not 3, as he threatens into the Forest Elbow here. Can he get the run off the corner here to pressure into the chase? Again, though, that pressure into the elbow, compromising a chance to get close enough for a proper move down here into the chase under the brakes. We'll see what the slipstream can do this time by.
Yeah, you have to say that it hasn't been the right strategy for most of the drivers today to show that nose into Forest Elbow. It's just such an important corner to get the run out of because the main passing opportunity is obviously down into the chase and it's such a long straight. I feel like it might be a better tactic to maybe just take that slightly wider line, get on the gas a little bit earlier and use that powerful slipstream to get your big run down into the chase. But we can't say too much as Power is right on the back of Nicol still. There was a little bit of an error from Nicol that brought him back really close again. Another pinch of the brake for Nicol. He must be working that Commodore very, very hard to try and keep Power behind. And this time, is he going to have the run up Mountain Straight? And will he have a look to the inside? It is an easy corner to defend into because of that camber, and it's so hard to get the job down there outside, but Tim Nicol doesn't look like he's going to go defensive, and that's going to be a move done for Powell.
Yeah, and he tried to hang around the outside, but the camber was not kind. And, well, with a 48 degrees Celsius track temperature, I can tell you there's very little grip out there as a result of those various factors. Well, look at this. Inside 10 minutes ago, Black Bull Boys is yet to come to the pit lane, but finally, after 24 laps on the tank of fuel, he will bring it down to the lanes. That tells me a bit about there having very little fuel left in the car, and he will pull that one up there without any further drama or fuss. So we surely expect Michael Stewart will follow suit as your final car on the lead lap, yet to come to the pits for final service. And has done a decent job with the lap times. Actually now matching the pace of Tim Nicol, Nathan Brown, Ryan Robson, and Andrew Dutch there or thereabouts. But we'll see here if he can come out close enough to those drivers to continue to contest some of those spots there, because he's in with a chance of stealing away a championship position from Nathan Brown. We'll see if this play will work for him. I'm going to go another Virtual Racing School replay, Braden, and focus in on Tim Nicol here as he comes down the S's.
Yeah, he gets very close to that inside right wall a little bit too. And he gets very, very acquainted with the left inside wall at the dipper. That's going to give him a little bit of damage for sure.
Yeah, 15 seconds in the block, in the pit box, mind you, for Blake Warboys, and back out in front by about 16 seconds is what our timing is telling us. 11.5 only, though, for Michael Stewart. He has sprung himself up to 4th place. So long as the fuel is healthy there for the 919 Hypersonic Racing Mustang, he has gotten that car back up into clean air. And remember, he was behind Powell, Nicol, earlier on the race. That is an example of how the overcut playing out with these drivers fighting each other along the way. Stewart, clean air, all concentration, and consistent laps, it would seem, from that car, has done himself a treat. And indeed, yeah, consistently lapping in the mid to low 208, so only a couple of inches to the high 208s since that restart and that phase where the drivers came into the pits around that 50.
Yeah, and Dean Powell knows that if he had any chance of making a play on Stewart,
Oh, Tim Nicol!
Oh, he's not had a good few laps, has he?
Oh dear, the damage down at the dipper seems to now be doubled up and compared. He's still got a face of rock solid composure and absolute zen, but surely the Pecky's Performance Racing Commodore has taken a second hit to the left side of the car as we go to another Virtual Racing School replay here up through Sulman Park. Runs it wide over the Fujitsu Cyanogen. Oh, dear me. He's going to hit once, but twice over Sulman. And that second blow, that pendulum tank slapping smack into the corner there, that cannot be doing that car any good. He does now unfortunately have the mechanical black flag, and we'll have to respect the meatball. Get that car back down to the pit lane to fix it up.
Yeah, we're going to go on board or on the nose, and you can just see getting a little bit too wide on the left, and he's rubbed that wall, continued the whole way along. Luckily enough, didn't loop it around, but that's a lot of extra damage that he did not need. I think we'll have to tell our producer to make sure he only shows right-hand side shots of the nickel car from now on, because the left is looking a little worse for wear.
See, as he brings it in very aggressively onto the brakes. And, well, unfortunately for him, he has used the faster pairs already today. So that does mean that will be a repair that could be a couple minutes in length, and means that there's no certainty that the 23 machine will be back out on track to finish this race, unfortunately. Well, what it does do is transfer where the pressure points are on track. Ryan Robson still in 7th place. He's now got Andrew Dutch for company there in the 51 machine. He's got those fresher tyres by 2 laps. So we'll see what can Dutch do here, as Robson definitely looking a little loose through these slower corners where traction is so critical.
Yeah, I've been watching just back from Robson the last couple of laps, and he's been very loose out of a lot of the corners, and I have a funny feeling he might have worked those rear tyres just a little too hard. As you see, he's sliding and slipping all the way up the mountain, and it may well cost him when we get down to Forest Elbow. Lack of grip out of that corner is going to make it very difficult to defend from Andrew Dutch, who's right up on the back of him now.
So it's all about the exit from the elbow indeed, as you mentioned, Braden. We'll see here, look at Robson throwing that car around to try and get as much, maybe even rotation even from the rear, trying to like deliberately unsettle the car. Nevertheless, what it has done is given him about 2/10, but you can see here Dutch not even committing to completely following, does tuck into the slipstream now as we come up to the chase. We'll get to the inside, but as a result, Robson will commit round the long way here as it under brakes. Robson squirming it in on the inside line. We saw it earlier in the race as it crisscross happens, and Dutch is able to get the move done on the exit. We saw it between McLean and Drage. This time, though, the place will be taken rather than regained. Robson, though, all kinds of loose. We almost might want to go have a look at that one again if we can from an external shot, because awfully close to Robson losing that car and making contact as they did the crisscross there on the way out.
What I like that Andrew Dutch did is he didn't show the nose at Forest Elbow like we've been talking about. He kept the car nice and wide and committed to getting the run down the hill and down into the chase, and did a great job to crisscross over Robson, who was, like you said, very, very loose through the chase. So they did well not to make contact. It was a really good move.
Yeah, it was indeed. Robson still fighting here, but that car is all kinds of loose. And indeed, we'll pick up that overhead replay thanks to Virtual Racing School. Once again, you can see here Robson committing absolutely to the defense, squirms it in on the rears of the brakes, and then look at the wobble there, as you said, Braden. Oh, gets it back under control, but if that slide had carried on for half a second to a second longer, then that could have easily ended in tears for the two of them. And, well, it's going to be 2 laps to go here at the line, thanks to the fact that the laps here are in the low 2-minute bracket range, with Blake Warboys currently lapping in a class of his own, 1.5 seconds faster than anyone else last time around. No surprises. The Wodonga Carts and Parts 63 Mustang class of the field, generally speaking, all for this three race season long, but also now with the freshest tyres of the field, barring, well, share with Michael Stewart, I should say. But he is absolutely flogging the daylights out of that car. As a result, the gap back up over 20 seconds when it was barely 16 coming out of the pits, Braden.
Yeah, definitely not just playing it safe and bringing it home slowly. He's definitely gone out to really put a big gap on this field and really show his class. As we see, Robson's closed right back up onto the back. Oh, although he's gone very wide on the exit of the chase. I think that 16 car has been more sideways than straight these last few laps.
Yeah, you can see here Robson is throwing absolutely everything at this car to hope it sticks as he works his way up into hell corner for the penultimate time. As Dutch locks the inside front through the corner, can Robson get enough traction? I don't think he's close enough to pressure here into Griffin's Bend, but what it will do is just keep him in contact, because over the top of the mountain, of course, that is going to be ultra critical for this fight here. 7th place is not yet decided here today as they work their way up to Griffin's good performance under brakes. And, well, there we go. We'll check back in with that fight for 7th later on, but good news indeed. Tim Nicol has gotten the car sufficiently repaired to be allowed to carry back on as he heads down Conrod Straight. Unfortunately, well, actually just ahead of your race leader in form, Blake Warboys. We'll see here if he can stay on the lead lap as that fight for 7th is coming over Sulman Park, and Robson, he's drifting it over Reed in the Great, my word. That man has got some very, very, well, he's just very brave, I think, as we'll just big brass ones, perhaps.
He's definitely putting on a show for the fans
he's
across the top of the mountain. As we see Warboys take the white flag as Robson continues his drift performance all the way down the mountain this time. And we head into Forest Elbow. It has meant that he has dropped off the back of Andrew Dutch there, but it's definitely putting on a performance for the fans.
My word, that was one heck of an application for D1 Australia, because you don't see that often go well. Grabs the inside apex, bottom of the S's for good measure, and just almost straightens off. A bit of panel damage either side at the rear of the Commodore here, but keeping just in touch with Andrew Dutch here as they come to Murray's Corner for the second last time. But just that 16 machine is so squirmy under brakes, but somehow making it work here with one final lap left for these drivers here in this 66 lap race. Stephen Kennedy is in the background of shot, but unfortunately for him, it would seem that coming to the pits early, he too is doing a little bit of slip and slide, but not even close to what Robson's putting on for us here. Is one final lap to try and make something of it, but it's going to be down to Dutch making a mistake. Surely Robson cannot keep up with him out of the corners due to the lack of traction here. As watch out of Griffin's Bend, see both cars actually straight, so I'm going to be let down by that moment there, saying I was expecting to see a little bit of a squirm from the 16.
Yeah, he grazed the wall, and it's actually the 51 getting a little bit loose there, and he's shown the nose up the inside. Robson's going to get it done.
Andrew Dutch, massive back off, but then more drifting applications from the 16 machine of Robson here as he brings it up and over Reed Park here for the final time. But we'll check back in with them later as the man who has been up front and in a class of his own, Blake Warboys, took the win at Phillip Island, took the win at Sandown. He will take the win at Bathurst and make it a perfect series to become your NTEseries Endurance Series champion for the summer of 2022 and 2023. Justin McLean will bring it home in second place and therefore secure second in the championship as well. Josh Drage will round out the podium 3 seconds back from him as he almost pulls that one up there. And with that done there, a good finish to his season as these drivers will be staying out on track for us a little bit longer here. See, here's
Andrew Dutch
is out of fuel.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like it. Maybe that was part of the reason why we had that big lift as we're heading into the
He's
cutting.
not going to make. Yeah, he's not going to
done.
make it, unfortunately. So Ryan Robson will reclaim 7th place, and well, not much left on the rears of that car there, but well, he'll decide to just burn it down to the ground just a little bit more in case you didn't know that the rubber was a wee bit shot on the Frankston Steel Supplies Commodores. Well, it is Bathurst. There's a certain quirk about the gravel down at the Chase. It's the end of a 3-race championship, and well, looks like Blake Woolboys will start lining it up here across McPhillamy Park for us first of all, Braden. But we are going to get a formation jump from the field as they will celebrate the season and this little series in style here to wrap things up today.
Yeah, there's so much to like about Bathurst, the track, the V8 supercars that go around it, but obviously the most important reason is once you're done, getting down Conrod straight and throwing whatever's left of whatever car you're driving straight over the jump.
Well, they'll form on up here on the exit of Forest Elbow. Woolboys has been given the honour on lining up.
Safety car there, just to make sure everything runs appropriately.
Yeah, something akin to that. And we'll just wait for the field to join us. And they'll move on down a tiny bit here as the rest of the field joins them here. So we're going to get 2 by 2 with Woolboys leading them all down ahead of the pack to wrap things up for this afternoon.
Just while we're waiting for the jump to get underway, I'm just having a look at the fuel times here, and Andrew Dutch's last pit stop was only 12.2 seconds compared to most of the people around him, 15, 13, 16, 18. So maybe trying to short fuel just to try and get a position if you can, and it's obviously come a little bit unstuck.
Yeah, so there we go. They actually will form up 2 by 2 fully. As we're just waiting on a couple of drivers to wrap things or bring the field together here. So we will get just about everyone who is able to be part of the series here to finish off. And well, yeah, 18 drivers started the race today. Unfortunately, it would only be, I believe, 15 cars that would finish today. And they've been given the go order as our field of Commodores and Mustangs will make their way down at full tilt across the jump here today. And well, they're going to be having a good turn of pace, but we're going to see here, can they all make the jump, and who's going to stack this one impressively here as we've got a camera ready for it all. Here we go for our little celebrations here. And oh, nice. Woolboys. Oh, we've got one in the fence. We've got several in the fence on the other side of the chase. Oh my word, the safety car is murdered near Woodburn.
You do not want to be a Pecky's car going over that jump, do you? Warboys, is there anything he can't do? He's landed the jump and he's crossed the finish line again.
Yeah, oh dear me, you're not wrong, Mark Peck there. Just for a moment, we've lost him on the cameras, but buried in the fence, Tim Nichols also turned his Commodore into a turtle. Yeah, what happened? See, what happened there to the Pecky's cars? Yeah, you can see one of them buried in the fence. So, oh dear me. Jack Gray in the number 7 machine. If it's at all possible to get a post-race replay, as it were, of the jump, we might want to start with Jack Gray in the number 7, Braden, because unfortunately for him, it's not gone particularly well.
Yeah, that's not the best execution of the jump I've ever seen. I think he's a little bit far to the left, and he's less jump, more just wedged in the tire bundles.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly. As we're on a replay camera here, I don't know if we're going to suddenly have this camera full of car in a couple of moments' time, but I guess we'll wait and see if it plays ball. We're being told it's coming from Director Jay Kennedy here. Indeed, there we go. So the first couple of cars make their way over. Oh, there's Tim Nichols' car. Does a little Beyblade right in front of us. You see the safety car collect Neil Woodburn off in the distance. And yeah, my word, that was something else. Nickel, unfortunately, yeah, absolutely murdered or collected the stricken car of Jack Gray there. And well, the rest was history, as they say.
That's exactly right. As I think we're going to have a look at the final race results, and as we've said all afternoon, class of the field today, Blake Warboys taking the win, and taking the win for the series as well. 27 seconds clear of second place, Justin McLean and Josh Drage rounding out your podium. Michael Stewart, after a later pit stop than most of the field, managing to come home in P4 with Dean Powell in P5. Nathan Brown, Ryan Robson, and Stephen Kennedy, P6, 7, and 8. And then Mark Peck, although wedged in the wall there towards the end, doing good enough to stay inside the top 10 with P9, and Neil Woodburn rounding out your top 10.
Sure was. Your final finishes on the lead lap there. Jack Gray and Tim Nicol in 11th and 12th place there. Nicol able to just get the car out in time to be able to stay ahead of Warboys there. So good to see that from the 23 machine. He one lap down finishes. Unfortunately there, Andrew Dutch could have been 7th place. It'll have to be 13th today there. Short on fuel at the end. Shane Newlands, unfortunately for him, just a bit off the pace this afternoon. Will finish down in 14th place. Michael Gore, similarly, a bit of damage for him and just sort of making his way to the end there. 15th lap in 2 laps down in 15th place, I should say. And then your retirements for this afternoon. The 66 Darren Crosby, unfortunately, the incidents for him, too much repairs to commit to finishing 16th place, 17 laps shy. Peter Biancucci, unfortunately, caught him with some big incidents of his own. He retires 24 laps short of the finish. Bradley Minsol, unfortunately, retiring before we could come to the air this afternoon with the race today. So he will be 34 laps short of the finish. Tyrone Anderson, 50 laps down, it says there on our timing screen. So that's a very early retirement, unfortunately, for him today. And then your 2 race control cars in the server. Well, time to switch to our interviews here, and we've got just one person we're going to have a quick chat to this when it comes to the drivers. The man who walked away with this series with a perfect sweep of all qualifying and race sessions for the NTEseries Endurance Series here in 2022-2023. Congratulations to your champion, Blake Warboys.
Thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure to race the series, and come away with a clean sweep is an amazing achievement.
Absolutely. You have, despite the efforts with things like competition cautions to try and excite things up across all the races here at Phillip Island, Sandown, and now Bathurst, you've been able to walk away with dominant pace at every single round, regardless of what situations seem to come your way. And well, for the most part, you've been keeping a very clean nose in the process, and that certainly helps with keeping that car fast and on its tracks, it seems.
Yeah, just been trying to keep out of trouble and keep our strategy running well, even though you can't always time the safety cars right. Well, you never can really, but they've seemed to have fallen at decent times, and we've been able to sort of capitalise a little bit on those safety cars. And yeah, we've had good pace. Justin was right on my heels there and had really good pace at Sandown as well. So it was good to see him having some good races. But yeah, our team's got Nathan. I think he got 4th in the championship, I think. So he's pretty happy with that. Overall, good championship.
Yeah, by my numbers indeed. Yeah, Nathan bringing it home there in 4th place. Matches up with what I had before the race as well. Well, yeah, it certainly is. As I said, such a dominant display from you, Blake. I guess any hints at what might come next, whether it be NTEseries events or anything else in general, I guess, for you at this stage? I guess you want to maybe sort of share about with your iRacing exploits or anything else perhaps similar to the note coming up in the near future?
Well, I'm driving with Taipan Esports at the moment in the Daytona 24. So we started the 9 a.m. session, so I've already done a 2.5 hour stint in that, and then jumped into the supercar, which took a little bit to get used to again. But so doing that at the moment, running the Logitech Pro G Invitational again this year. after making the top 20 last year. Plan to do some more Scops, the East Coast Series, and the DSL Welding Super Cup as well. Plus, want to do some more endurance style racing as well, get into the more GT3 and maybe some LMP cars a bit more often as well.
Well, indeed, sounds like a pretty busy schedule ahead of you there in that case. Before we let you go, Blake, one final chance to congratulate sponsors, partners, and other people who you want to give a shout out to. The floor is yours.
WKMP Sim Sports, all their great hard work. Wodonga Karts and Parts, LGK Karts Australia, EKS Karts Australia, Super Cheap Auto coming on board. Shannon's at the main series sponsor. The pool guys as well are jumping on. Jake and everyone, and Seb, everyone in the background for all their hard work getting the series up and running and doing an amazing job. Without them, we wouldn't have a series, so thanks to them as well. And to my fiance for letting me do as much racing as I am.
There we are. Series champion, race winner today. Clean sweep all around for Blake Little Boys there. Thank you very much for having a chat with us there, Blake. And what I'll do is I'll quickly just move you down again. And well, we've got Jake Burgess, series administrator and organizer here in the commentary box with him here. I actually invite him to unmute real quick and have a chat with us. And congratulate you, Jake, on another series run under the NTEseries banner. And thanks for being with us here on SimSpeed as the broadcast partner once again. I guess now, turning our attention to what comes next for you under the NTEseries League brand in 2023.
Yeah, that's it. It's been a big 2022 running the Tri Series that we've trialled this year. So obviously kicking off with our Shannon Series earlier in the year, did the Dry Season Cup in Porsche in the middle of the year, and then finished up with this Endurance Series. But next year, we're really looking forward, or this year should I say, we're looking forward to launching our Shannon's Insurance NTEseries, which will launch tomorrow afternoon on our Facebook page. So for anyone out there that's keen to jump on board and come and race with us in the NTEseries, keep an eye out on Facebook tomorrow afternoon.
Well, there we go. Thanks for having a quick chat with us there, Jake. And indeed, looking forward to seeing what you come up with 2023 in the Shannon's Insurance NTEseries brand. In that case, you can see there on screen, you're watching with us Sunday, March the 5th for the first dates of the racing. But registration's open tomorrow, Sunday, the 22nd of January. Thanks very much again, Jake. And look forward to seeing what comes up this year.
Thank you. Look forward to it.
Well, that's going to wrap things up from us here in the SimSpeed commentary booth today. And, well, Braden, it's certainly been a good format of racing here. It's sort of not what you're sort of used to seeing, because time-certain supercars racing is very much a rarity and doesn't quite fit the norm of what we see here in Australia. But it has certainly made a good mark. I'd say a good format for this series. Obviously, picking up the final hour is a little bit different for us as well here on broadcast, but some great racing up and down the field, even if the race winner ended up sort of being pretty dominant all the way through.
Yeah, absolutely, and looking forward to seeing what Jake and the team have in store for the rest of 2023 with the NTEseries.
Indeed. Well, on behalf of Braden Martin here in the commentary box and Jake Henley on production, my name is Daniel Yeaman. Thank you all for joining us here for the third and final race of the NTEseries Endurance Series for 2022-2023. Make sure to check back with NTEseries tomorrow, Sunday, the 23rd of January, for registrations for their 2023 NTEseries Championships, starting on Sunday, March the 5th. Bye for now, but not forever, here on SimSpeed TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.